Whether we are there or not, ITSP Magazine still gets the best stories. Plenty of conferences and events spark our curiosity and allow us to start conversations with some of the world's brightest minds. In person or virtually, Sean Martin and Marco Ciappelli go on location and sit down with them at the intersection of technology, cybersecurity, and society. Together, we discover what the synergy of these three elements means for the future of humanity. SquareX helps organizations detect, mitigate, and threat hunt web attacks happening against their users in real time. With its innovative browser-native security product, SquareX safeguards enterprise users from a spectrum of web-based threats, encompassing malicious files, websites, scripts, and compromised networks. Learn more at sqrx.com. Coro, the leading cybersecurity platform purpose-built for small and medium-sized enterprises, protects against malware, ransomware, phishing, data leakage, network threats, insider threats, and email threats across devices, users, networks, and cloud applications. Learn more at coro.net.
Marco.
Sean.
Is that better than the vroom vroom?
Better than vroom vroom? Yeah, it's more realistic as we're not driving to Las Vegas. I think it's clear by now with all the pre-event chats on the road that we've been doing, but we're not changing the name. It's still named Chats on the Road because that's how it started and that's how it's going to be. So it's not going to be Chats on the Cloud, although it could work.
That's right.
Well, I'm excited for this
lightning.
Conversation.
Hopefully
Sean.
not. I know.
What are we talking about today?
This is a cool topic, and it's one where it pretty much describes why we started ITSP Magazine, where we're bringing the human element, the social element, the technology stack. You like the word stack, Marco, so I'll bring that in there. But we bring it all together, and of course, some of the other conversations we had with some folks from that are speaking at Black Hat, we're looking at economics of things and the national political state of things, both from an adversary perspective and a government's readiness perspective. And this particular talk is about ransomware gangs and the fact that, guess what, they're humans too. And guess what, they're organized just like many other businesses. And our two guests have been doing some research on one gang in particular, and probably broader beyond that, we're going to find out today. And what do they look like as an organization? And what's their structure? How do they function? Are they efficient? Do they care about the same things that the practitioners and people protecting our society care about? And that's what we're going to find out. So anyway, I'm done talking. Dalya and Jean and Dalya, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for your interest in our work. We're really excited to have a non-academic audience. The ability to have an impact is exciting.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, it's interesting, especially for someone like me that has been dealing more with the political science and sociology of things for many years, and then Sean dragged me into cybersecurity. So I'm not the technical guy, but more and more, as Sean said at the beginning, we discover that things are real. Just because there is the word cyber attached to it doesn't mean that it's all virtual or non-existent, or in this case, not those old school hackers, cyber criminal working alone in that famous or infamous garage at this point, or in the basement of their parents. So this is interesting to shed a light on how we're really facing criminals and not something out of this world. So I will start with you introducing yourself a little bit, so to prove that you are also real. And we'll start with Jane and then Dalya, and then we can dive into the conversation.
Well, I'm Jean Camp. I work mostly in economics of security and privacy. And my interests tend to be where the human meets the keyboard and the keyboard meets the network. Dalya?
Nice.
I am Dalya Manatova. I am a PhD student. Jean is my advisor. I am studying informatics, security informatics, and I'm interested in organizational social dynamics of e-crime, but also specifically what are the computational methods that we can use to trace those organizational social dynamics.
Okay, so let's dive in. What did you find out? Who did you target?
So one of the things we hear so often is ransomware as a service, ransomware as a commodity. And what does it mean that these particular attacks become commodities? It's spam is the ultimate commodity, right? It's just spam. And DDoS was this very customized thing. Phishing was customized, and it follows a path and becomes a commodity. And like you said, the hacker, either in the basement or in the secret government facility, it's got a big hoodie, like you can't tell what they're going to do. Be very suspicious. I would say one of the big takeaways is think about this as a business. You are probably not facing an incredibly targeted government operation that's just focused on you. That is very unlikely. You are how do you think about attacks once they become commodities? How can that change your conception? And we want our presentation to be both empowering so that you walk away as a defender, perhaps feeling a little less terrified, because probably, if you're laundering money, the North Koreans are coming after you, but most of you aren't. A way to think about the threats, evaluate the threat monitoring services you're getting, and here are a set of tools and methods that can help you to understand these attackers. Now, Dalya is doing the core of the methodological presentation. So if you could just give a quick presentation of the sets of tools you'll be using and presenting.
Yeah. So as Jean mentioned, the e-crime as a commodity becomes a business, right? And we can actually look at those groups as businesses, and we can refer to the science of organizations, how they organized and how they collectively bring those actions together and they build resilience. And we refer to those theories of resilience of organizations and how organizations build relationships between members. And we actually can use methods to sort of extract and map those markers that show that the relationship is building based on those theories. So we actually look at the text. We do this like linguistic and discourse analysis to extract those potential relationships. And there's a way to actually model not just relationships, but in general, the dimensions that make organizations so successful in terms of their resilience. And one of the examples we'll look at is Conti, the major ransomware group, which was disrupted, but still as a collective action, as a group of members still exists and actually existed long before it became Conti. They started back in 2014. So we just with this internal chat leaks, we can sort of show how it could be done.
It's interesting. And are you able to, because Jean, you mentioned ransomware as a service and then that they're also a business. And just like most other businesses, we have our core capabilities that we kind of hold dear, and that's our secret sauce as a business, and we invest heavily in that. And then some of the, I'll say, mundane operational stuff we might outsource either to a service provider or an online cloud-based service. Are you finding that these gangs are doing similar things?
I'll let Dalya follow up on this because she has some very interesting results. And I think this aligns with what we've seen, where people get recruited and they literally don't know they're working for an e-crime organization. Of course, the difference here is when they're doing customer identification, also known as victim or target identification, you don't want to become a customer. You don't want to experience their expertise. So we are offering a way of reconceptualizing advanced persistent threats as resilient, mature e-crime organizations. And the people who come to Black Hat, they are going to have, they're in corporations, some of them are entrepreneurs, they're going to have better kind of business intelligence and marketing sense than, that kind of intelligence than we bring to the floor. What we're doing is offering them new ways to use the tools and their understanding of the, I suppose, legitimate or legal business world, and saying you can turn this and use it for threat analysis. But yes, their task list is your attack chain. So do you want to talk about our task breakdown?
Yeah, so it's pretty much like a business model, a business processes. There's target identification, where you do all the research. They actually use a lot of OSINT tools. They do research on the profit making of different victims. And there's also like development core, the development actual malware product, where a lot of testers are recruited, and some of the testers don't even know that they've been recruited for a legal group or a legal company. And some of the testers do know, and they actually aspire to become more than just testers. But it's an interesting case, I think, right, Jean, that the testers are quite a weakest link, but also getting a lot of code and a lot of products that they need to test on different platforms and networks. And there's also, and after that, there's a whole preparation for the attack, and then essentially executing the attack itself, and then this negotiation and talking to the victims, and have this like a whole victim support infrastructure, the whole chat, and the whole processes for transferring money back to the group.
Whoa. Victim support. I love that. So yeah, let's talk about it. So they actually go into say, okay, we got you, but don't worry, we're here for you. We're going to help you out as long as you pay us. Which brings me also to ask the next and connected question, as we had the conversation before. I've talked about with people on how these companies, because they're real companies, cybercrime companies, are actually marketing themselves. They have a brand to respect in the dark web. So they also need to deliver. If they say they're going to give you your stuff back after you pay, they need to do it. Otherwise, they don't have that respect or that integrity. It's hard to use this word in this conversation, but integrity to keep doing the business the way they are. So this support, I'm intrigued by it. Can you tell me more about it?
Yeah, they want to make sure like they have actual professionals in their area to negotiate with the victims. Well, they set up a price that the victim's supposed to pay, but then also they try to ease this pressure and say, you can Google us, we're a pretty famous group. Other victims just paid and it was pretty smooth, so just follow instructions, everything's going to be great, and just don't panic. We'll give you this time. If you need more time, let us know. So it all does seem like a customer support, except this is actual victims.
Do they actually give, I don't know, vouchers for the next ransomware where they get a discount?
I don't think it's a card punch situation. I don't think anybody wants Conti points.
No.
That's right.
Or a business
your 10th
card.
one's
Or
free.
a credit card. No. Sean, you go. Get technical because I'm like all over the places here.
Well, actually, I want to bring this out a bit because it is interesting, but I don't want to get too deep and give away too much from the talk. So I want to step back a little bit and maybe start with you, Gene, on kind of your view of how this fits the bigger picture of cybersecurity, and you mentioned the economics there again. So there's the economics of them creating a business that's profitable and having a market that they can target and make some money from. Then there's the defense part of it, where the whole economics of that, how much money do we make, and how much of that should we be spending to protect ourselves so that we don't go out of business. So how does this research kind of help you look at that bigger picture of economics?
One of the large questions in both computer security and economics, and you just said it, how much you give away, how much information do you share, who do you share information with, and what information do you need? So even minimal information sharing, I think that it is critically important. So if suppose you have a forum monitor and you're paying for monitoring your own company, is anybody mentioning you? Is anybody mentioning, Sean Martin? No, I'm sure they're not. I'm sure you're fine. But if they do, is it, as Dalya said, a tester who literally doesn't know that they are working for criminals and is just, I want to see this podcast? Or is it someone who's much more deeply embedded in the organization? Who is talking about you matters. The existence of chatter is not as critical as understanding how it is flowing in an organization. And there, sometimes you can do well by being nice. So you may also, because you know your own business landscape, you know who your major competitors are, you know who is similar to you, and you can look for them also. So look at, MGM and Caesars. If MGM had known about Caesars, maybe they could have avoided the situation. Are you a sector that's under attack? So if you think about it as just part of your business landscape. So we have logistics we have to deal with. We have to watch what our customers are doing in the marketplace, their ads and their pricing. You also have to think about this as part of a marketplace where you're part of an industry sector. You're not just, the person alone in the woods with the bear. So did that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it does.
Well, I have one more question for Dalya. So you study the social dynamics of this complex organization, and there is literally hierarchical level and connection, and then can you tease a little bit about something interesting that people will discover when they come to see your presentation there?
Yeah, so there's definitely some sort of hierarchy if we look at just one-on-one patterns of communications. We can see there's definitely some people are super connected, so we can infer, there's some sort of a management for those few people. But that's just a sort of a tip of the iceberg. But if we look at the linguistic markers in those conversations, we can start inferring this affordable relationship between people. Especially if you look at the different types of languages, they have this different types of addressings or different linguistic markers that show that I am talking to someone who I perceive as a boss. or even in the conversations when you don't see reciprocity of small talk or there's no reply, it could give us certain level of confidence that this is a person. There's a power dynamic where the person is talking to his subordinate. So all of this sort of adds up to this confidence interval that we calculate for authority or different types of relationships. And it shows us a more nuanced hierarchy than just looking at this like social graph or network statistics. So yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, and of course you're able to do this because you read in Russian, and you can see all the nuances of the language that
Yeah,
you're really doing a
hopefully
psychological analysis there as well.
It's more like a linguistic analysis of the language, but hopefully in the future we can develop into more automated methods to do that.
Right.
So one of the joys of working with Dalya is seeing this nuance and understanding what we've been missing. So our own lab is very pro-cat. We're not anti-dog. We just all have cats. So you look at Conti, they talk a lot about the cat and dealing with the cat. So Dalya came in and explained to us that these were just not actually, kitty lovers. That was fun looking at the NLP failures. So what are they talking about when they talk about the cats, Dalya?
Yeah, they use a jargon word for a wallet, crypto wallet, and it happens to be that it has a resemblance with the root for the Russian word cat, and by machine translation, NLP sort of catches it as a cat. It's out of context, completely wrong, but also because the conversations are very short and it's part of the routine, they just tell each other, "Oh, what about the cat? Where's my cat?" But it actually means like a crypto wallet.
I could see where that would come up quite a bit, actually. Where's my money? Super interesting. I'm sure there's a lot of nuanced findings in there, and I'm sure you're still uncovering stuff as you continue to dig in. And kudos to Eugene and the Indiana University, for putting that together and allowing the team to do this work to find these findings. So the session is Relationships Matter: Reconstructing the Organizational and Social Structure of a Ransomware Gang. That's on Wednesday, August 7th at Black Hat, of course, 2:30 to 3. And I'm excited to see the session. And I'm tired of waiting. I want it now, but we'll wait for that session.
Well, we look forward to seeing you there.
Yeah, I'm actually very excited because a lot of these pre-event chats, they end up presenting a lot less technical and a lot more sociological and socio-political, and I'm thinking like other conversation we had, aspect of what cybercrime is, but also what cybersecurity now is about, which is very different from 10, 15 years ago. And I'm very, very excited about all of these. And I don't know if I can hit them all, but there's many presentation I want to see, and I'll definitely do my best to see yours.
Yeah, and what's cool, Marco, is there are many like this. So I don't know how many we've recorded, but the very few of them are deep technical stuff. Of course, there's plenty of that too.
Well, there's the arsenal.
But yeah, exactly. But I'm thrilled to see that Black Hat has these types of conversations, because I think this up-level view can give us some really good insights into how we approach this space moving forward. So, Gene, Dalya, thank you so much. And everybody listening and watching, thank you for joining us. And be sure to catch their session Wednesday the 7th, 2:30 to 3, Black Hat, Las Vegas. We'll see you all there. Thanks everybody for listening. Stay tuned. There's more chats on the road coming to you, and of course all the on-location stuff when we get to Vegas soon.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
At Level Blue, we simplify securing your most valuable business assets by providing broad cybersecurity experience and award-winning services. Level Blue manages the risk. You reap the reward. Learn more at levelblue.com. Coro, the leading cybersecurity platform purpose-built for small and medium-sized enterprises, protects against malware, ransomware, phishing, data leakage, network threats, insider threats, and email threats across devices, users, networks, and cloud applications. Learn more at coro.net. SquareX helps organizations detect, mitigate, and threat hunt web attacks happening against their users in real time. With its innovative browser-native security product, SquareX safeguards enterprise users from a spectrum of web-based threats, encompassing malicious files, websites, scripts, and compromised networks. Learn more at sqrx.com.